The airplane door hissed open, and in that instant, I felt the world shift beneath my feet. After hours suspended above the clouds, the reality of arrival hit me all at once. A wave of thick, warm air swept in, earthy, floral, and smoky, carrying the scent of distant fires and blooming flowers. It was a fragrance I'd never known, but instantly recognized as the signature of a new world. My first breath of Tanzania was heavy and sweet, a sensory jolt that made my heart race. I paused at the threshold, letting the humid air fill my lungs, grounding me in this moment of arrival. Stepping onto the tarmac at Julius Nyerere International Airport, I felt the sun's golden weight and the humidity wrap around me like a thick blanket. The light was dazzling, almost blinding, and the heat pressed against my skin, reminding me I was far from home. My heart pounded with excitement and a hint of fear. Every step felt like a leap into the unknown, a mix of anticipation and vulnerability that made my senses sharper. I had arrived with just a backpack and a head full of dreams, determined to see what lay beyond the guidebooks and glossy travel ads. My entire life for the next few weeks was strapped to my shoulders. Swahili words and city sounds swirled around me as I walked toward the terminal. The rhythm of unfamiliar language, the laughter, the shouts of porters and taxi drivers. It was a living, breathing welcome. Inside, the energy was vibrant, families reunited in joyful embraces, taxi drivers calling out destinations, travelers weaving through the crowd. Everyone seemed to have a purpose, a destination, a story, unfolding. I felt small, but incredibly alive. The sheer scale of the terminal, the press of bodies, the cacophony of voices, it was overwhelming, but exhilarating. At immigration, the officer smiled and said, "Karibu Tanzania, welcome." His words were simple, but they carried warmth and reassurance, a gentle invitation to step further into this new world. Those words unlocked something inside me. The fear melted, replaced by adventure. I realized I was no longer just a visitor. I was a participant in the story of this place. Outside, the world exploded with color, heat, and sound. The streets pulsed with life, bright fabrics, honking cars, the aroma of spices drifting from food stalls, and the constant hum of conversation. I took a deep breath, trying to absorb it all. The city felt alive, unpredictable, and full of promise. Every sense was awake, every detail vivid. I exchanged my first Tanzanian shillings, the crisp notes, feeling strange and exciting in my hand. Each bill was a ticket to a new experience, a meal, a bus ride, a conversation. This was the start of my Tanzanian experiment, to experience the country beyond luxury, on a shoestring. I wanted to see the real Tanzania, to meet people where they lived and worked, to learn from every encounter. I wanted to connect with people, eat local food, and travel real roads. The thought of tasting new dishes, of sharing stories with strangers, filled me with anticipation. I scanned the options for local transport, determined to avoid the easy comforts and instead dive into the everyday rhythms of Tanzanian life. Standing at the airport gates, Dar es Salaam humming beyond, I felt ready. The city beckoned, mysterious and inviting, promising stories I couldn't yet imagine. Ready for whatever came next. My nerves had settled into a steady determination, a quiet confidence that I could handle whatever this journey threw at me. The journey I'd planned for months was finally real. All the research, the late-night dreams, the doubts, and hopes. They had led to this moment, standing on the edge of adventure. I was here to see if I could truly experience Tanzania without a fortune. To prove to myself that travel was about connection, not comfort. About discovery, not luxury. And I was ready to begin. With every step, I felt the possibilities unfolding before me, the promise of stories waiting to be lived. Before booking my flight, I promised myself I'd travel Tanzania on $30 a day. That meant everything: bed, food, transport, and adventure. Most people thought it was impossible in a country known for luxury safaris and resorts, but I wanted authenticity, not luxury. My savings were small, but my determination was huge. Each shilling became a choice: water or chapati, taxi or walk. My budget forced me to be present, to notice every detail. It wasn't a limitation, it was my guide to genuine experiences. I packed only essentials: simple clothes, first aid kit, water filter, and a journal. No fancy gadgets, just what I truly needed. This journey was about stripping away excess and discovering what mattered. The $30 challenge was on. I was ready to embrace it. My first real test in Tanzania was navigating the sprawling, energetic streets of Dar es Salaam, a city that pulses with life at every corner. The city's rhythm is relentless, with traffic weaving in every direction and the air buzzing with the sounds of daily hustle. Taxis were far too expensive for my budget, so I turned to the Dala Dala, those iconic, colorful minibuses that serve as the city's veins, carrying thousands of people across Dar es Salaam every day. They're not just a way to get around, they're a symbol of the city's resourcefulness and community spirit. At first glance, the Dala Dala looked intimidating, jam-packed with people, music blaring from old speakers, conductors hanging out the doors, and shouting destinations in rapid Swahili. The chaos was overwhelming, but there was an undeniable energy to it all. Unsure of where to start, I asked a local for help. With a smile, they guided me to the right minibus and even made sure I got a spot, squeezing me in among the crowd. That small act of kindness made all the difference. Inside, the air was thick, hot, humid, and heavy with the scent of sweat and diesel. The city flashed by outside the window, a blur of markets, street vendors, and vibrant murals. Every bump in the road was a reminder that I was truly somewhere new. It was overwhelming, but also exhilarating. I felt a rush of excitement, realizing I was experiencing Dar es Salaam, the way locals do every single day. The fare was just a few hundred shillings, a true bargain for a ride that felt like an adventure in itself. Paying was an experience too. You pass your money through a chain of hands until it reaches the conductor, trusting in the unspoken system. I quickly learned the routine, listening carefully for my stop, handing my fare through the crowd and calling out "Shusha" when I needed to get off. Each ride taught me something new about the city and its people. Every journey was an adventure, a lesson in patience, flexibility, and connection. I watched strangers become friends, sharing stories and laughter as the bus rattled along. The buses stopped everywhere, sometimes in the middle of the road, sometimes at makeshift stops. They broke down often, but no one seemed to mind. Instead of frustration, there was a sense of acceptance and calm. People just waited, chatted, or gazed out the window, taking the delays in stride. It was a reminder to slow down and appreciate the moment, no matter how chaotic it seemed. I let go of my usual sense of urgency and learned to go with the flow, embracing the city's unhurried pace and the unexpected moments along the way. Riding the Dala Dala wasn't just about getting from point A to point B, it was about immersing myself in Tanzania's resilient, welcoming spirit. It was about sharing space, stories, and smiles with people from all walks of life. By the end of my first week, I felt like I was part of the city's rhythm, moving with its pulse, laughing with its people, and loving every unpredictable moment. Finding a bed on my budget was a nightly quest. In cities, I stayed in backpacker hostels, simple, cheap, and full of fellow travelers. The best part was the people. We swapped stories, shared tips, and became a temporary family. Away from tourist hubs, I discovered local guest houses and homestays, sometimes just a spare room in a family's home. My Swahili was basic, but smiles and gestures bridged the gap. I shared meals, helped with chores, and learned about daily life. Hospitality here wasn't about amenities. It was about open hearts. I slept on mats, used bucket showers, and woke to roosters. These nights saved money and enriched my journey. Home, I learned, is a feeling, not a building. Eating on a budget meant embracing street food. My first taste was mandazi, sweet, fried bread, hot and delicious. Soon, the streets became my dining room. Breakfast was chapati and spiced chai. Lunch, chipsi mayai, a French fry omelet, surprisingly satisfying. Evenings brought barbecue smoke and mishkaki, grilled meat skewers, bursting with flavor. Near the coast I tried grilled octopus and fresh fish, seasoned with salt and lime. Each meal was a discovery, a connection to local life. I shared tables with workers, practiced Swahili with cooks, and learned food as a universal language. My fears faded, replaced by appreciation for Tanzanian street cuisine. Meals were fresh, honest, and incredibly affordable. My daily food budget was often under $5, yet I ate like royalty. Street food was my window into the soul of Tanzania. The biggest question was safari, Tanzania's wild heart, but notoriously expensive. I thought I'd have to skip it until I met other budget travelers in Arusha. We formed a group, hired a local guide, and booked a camping safari. Basic, but affordable. It blew my daily budget, but was worth every shilling. We slept in tents, cooked our own food, and woke to lions roaring. Our guide knew every animal and bird. We saw elephants, giraffes, cheetahs, and herds of wildebeest. The wildness was overwhelming. The sunsets, unforgettable. Luxury didn't matter. The magic was in the raw experience. The cost was a stretch, but the wonder was priceless. The Serengeti's beauty was a treasure I'll never forget. Budget travel in Tanzania wasn't always romantic. The idea of adventure is intoxicating, but the reality on the ground can be far less glamorous than the stories you hear. Every day brought new surprises, some exhilarating, others exhausting. I faced the Mzungu price. higher rates for foreigners, so I learned to haggle and stay vigilant. Navigating crowded markets, I quickly realized that blending in was impossible, and every transaction became a lesson in patience and persistence. Sometimes, I'd walk away empty-handed, but other times, I'd leave with a bargain and a new story to tell. Loneliness crept in, especially when I got sick in a remote town. The isolation felt sharper when my body ached and there was no familiar face to comfort me. I missed home, and the excitement of travel faded into the background as I struggled to recover. Lying in a cheap guest house, I questioned everything: the thin mattress, the distant sounds of the village, and the uncertainty of what tomorrow would bring made me wonder if I was truly cut out for this kind of journey. Doubt became a constant companion, but these moments built resilience and self-reliance. Each challenge forced me to dig deeper, to find strength I didn't know I had. I learned to trust myself, to adapt, and to keep moving forward, even when the road felt endless. Transportation was another challenge: long, grueling bus rides, breakdowns in the middle of nowhere. The roads were rough, the vehicles packed, and the journeys unpredictable. Sometimes hours would pass with nothing but the hum of the engine, and the dust swirling outside. Once, a blown tire stranded us for hours, but locals shared snacks and stories. What started as frustration turned into an unexpected moment of connection. We laughed, swapped tales, and made the best of a difficult situation, reminding me that kindness can be found anywhere. I learned to embrace delays as part of the journey. Instead of fighting the slow pace, I started to notice the beauty in the waiting, the landscapes, the people, the small moments that would have otherwise passed me by. These hurdles stripped away illusions and taught me patience. I realized that travel isn't just about the highlights, it's about enduring the lows and growing from them. Each setback became a lesson in humility and acceptance. It wasn't always sunsets and smiles, sometimes it was discomfort and doubt. There were days when I felt lost, overwhelmed, or simply exhausted, questioning why I'd chosen this path. But overcoming challenges made the good moments sweeter. Every hardship made the laughter, the friendships, and the triumphs feel more meaningful and hard-won. Each test deepened my appreciation for Tanzania and for my own strength. I found beauty not just in the places I visited, but in the person I was becoming along the way. The journey was as much about self-discovery as exploration. In facing the unexpected, I discovered a resilience and gratitude that would stay with me long after I left Tanzania. After the mainland's chaos, the ferry to Zanzibar felt like entering another world. My budget led me to quiet villages like Jambiani, far from the resorts. Life moved with the tides, simple, peaceful, and slow. My guest house was a humble bungalow steps from the sand. Mornings began with sunrise and the songs of seaweed farmers. I walked endless beaches, watched dhows sail, and swam in the Indian Ocean. The village was friendly and relaxed. The need to haggle faded away. Evenings meant fresh fish on the beach, laughter with locals, and simple joy. Zanzibar taught me the value of stillness and reflection. Sometimes the richest experiences come from simply being. On that beach, I felt like the richest person in the world. As my journey ended, I tallied my expenses. Did I stick to $30 a day? Not exactly. The safari pushed my average higher, but day-to-day Tanzania was affordable if I lived like a local. The real question, was it worth it? Absolutely. Every shilling, every challenge, every moment of doubt was worth it 1,000 times over. The trip was an education in resilience, hospitality, and connection. I learned that true wealth isn't money, it's moments, lessons, and memories. I discovered my own strength in the kindness of strangers. For anyone dreaming of Tanzania, don't let money hold you back. The true heart of this country is found in its people, its food, and its wild beauty. That's a treasure beyond price.